like, well, hello, Sandy. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Summer break is over. At least it's officially over for me. Is it officially over for you?
Labor Day pretty much marks summer breaks over. Kids are back to school. Everybody's landed in their spot. Yes. So we are starting season 4
Hmm?
of the Your Real, Your Ideal podcast. And I'm just going to say, I think I shared your video and I said season 3. And then I was like, this is season 4. So today we're going to do a little discussion of back to the podcast, like back to school. And I know you put some questions out on social media and
Mhm.
got a little input. And I have a little interview here for the back to school interview.
Nice.
And we were talking about you took an approach of what are we going to write for our paper? And I was like, well, I'm going to keep it easy and I'm going to say, just give
Question.
me answers to these questions. So, anyway, that's what we're doing today. So, it's back to the podcast. We're going to talk about what we did over the summer and what our plans are for this coming year. Kind of, and we haven't really firmed those up. So, it'll be interesting where our conversation goes.
We always like to go live and it's interesting too, back to my approach. And maybe it's because uh it felt like a kid-like summer for me. And so I'm thinking about it almost like a child, like summer is over. It was so enjoyable. And back to that proverbial paper that I don't know if you had this, Amy, when I grew up, especially in grade school, when you got back, the first paper you wrote was what did I do on my summer vacation? And that was kind of the paper we wrote. I Googled it and it seems like that's a pretty popular paper because it came up like no other. Was that something popular when you were a kid too?
Yes, yes. Or that worksheet that had all the questions and you
And then
filled in all
answer
the
it.
blanks. Yeah.
See, we must
Yeah.
not have had a good copy machine. There wasn't a lot of questions on sheets of paper. I think we took a lot of blank paper. At least that's my memory and what I found in my maybe that was small town Iowa, that we just didn't get a lot of worksheets, that we just had to write things out. Or it could be my memory. I like the
That's
worksheet though.
I actually like the blank piece of paper because it makes you come up with using your imagination and your creativity and your thoughts instead of the worksheet guided what the
Right?
answers are going to be.
But
So
that
I think
helps
there's
too. You
pros
think,
and cons.
right? You think about things that you wouldn't have thought about on your own. And I do have, I did post on the Instagram site and Facebook site asking people what they did, just out of curiosity, what their favorite part of the summer was. And got some responses that, they warmed my heart because you could tell they came from the heart. And I thought, oh, how neat to hear about what was special to other people. And I don't know. Summer break is kind of nostalgic, whether it's raising our own kids or when we are kids. And Amy, you're still putting kids back to school. I don't have anyone going back to school. So I think this was the first time that the focus was more on me rather than the kids going back to school.
Well, I am looking forward to that day because I will tell you, July, we went on vacation in July, but then it was packing and organizing and preparing to launch the children. And I
Right.
had two that moved to school, two that were living at home over the summer, and two that moved to school. I will say this, they have year leases now. And so I don't anticipate anybody moving home over the summer. So it's kind of like this is a milestone for us. This could be it of kids moving home.
And it's bittersweet. I loved those times. I always go by the phrase never wish time away. So
Right.
it wasn't that I was waiting for this time and this summer, or I can't wait till I'm not moving kids in. Life is what it gives you. And because it changes up, there's always a new perspective, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is
Yeah.
awfully fun to have a summer as an
Yeah.
adult without indulging your children.
I'm looking forward to that. So here's a question. You have a dog. Does your dog go with you when you travel and everything?
Sometimes not. Interesting thing, for anybody who does not know, I live in Durango, Colorado, so we do a lot of traveling to national parks. Our idea of vacationing many times includes national parks, which do not allow dogs primarily. I mean, very
Oh,
few
I
things
did
that
not.
you do at national parks with dogs. You can take them on you can't take them on a majority of the hikes, a majority of the places. So it isn't even an option for some of the trips we take if they include any of the national parks. Uh,
Okay.
so it's a mix. We take him sometimes and we don't. I have now accumulated in Durango 4 different sitters. 2 are house sitters that come to the house, and 2 are they board at their house, and we bring Zeke to them. So I've
Nice.
got a little kind of just like raising kids, back to having the dog. We have options.
Right. That's good. It just came up because this last weekend there was an opportunity or a thought went through our head of, oh, we could go to Kansas City for the day and visit Reagan and have lunch, just kind of, and we have 2 dogs. It was
So
like, okay, so it's like we can't make a last minute decision like this. There still has to be a little bit of planning in our life.
a suggestion, and this is for everyone too, go to rover.com. And I think there's others, but we use them in Boise too. And actually, I got a couple people as names, and they said, will you just go through Rover? That's how we manage uh, all of our dogs, and they can come and you can have them walk the dog, you can meet them, you can do like a night trip, but it's kind of like an Airbnb site for dogs and
Nice.
with all different levels. So
Interesting. I've never used it, but one of my girls is a Rover. She's on Rover.
is she okay? Good
Yes.
for
And she
her.
walks dogs in Iowa City because she misses our dogs. So she's like, I'm signing up for Rover here so I can spend time with dogs. So anyway,
Awesome.
I know. Okay. So I'm glad. Thanks. I will sign up for Rover now that I have my second lead on that because that last minute I was like, oh, we still have, to plan. We can't
Right.
just go
And
all
it's
the
good to do a little test, and maybe when you go out for dinner, have them come and walk the dog and
time.
see how it works. The dogs, sorry, and see how it
Yeah.
works out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So do we want to go through questions first or do we want to go through our essay first?
Well, how about this? I'm going to throw a third one out there. How was your summer in
How was
general?
my summer?
Yeah, how was your summer?
It was good. It was good. It was a little bit, I'm just gonna say we are kind of in a volatile time at our house just because the world has opened up. And so it's kind of like, okay, where do we want to go from here? Like, what do we want to do? So there's a lot of, I've been talking about this for years of where do we want to live? Where, so we now get to make those decisions. We've been thinking about them for years. And so
Mhm.
now it's like an up and a down. What are we doing? Where do we want to go? Do we, are we moving out of this house? So it's like, so I'm just going to say volatile because all of those discussions have been happening this summer. And
Mhm.
then now it's like, all right, the kids are out. Like, we can do something now, do something different. And not that they were stopping us, but we were just considering them more. So volatile in that because there's so much unknown. I'll say unknown. That's why. But also really good. Just grounding. I spent a lot of time reading, traveling, walking, doing lots of walks. I got an Apple Watch.
Nice.
So my summer was getting my rings for the, well, not my summer. I'd say my last month has been getting my rings. So how was your summer?
It was great. It felt like a summer back when I was a kid because I made a very mindful decision not to take on any new work other than a handful of clients that I really enjoy working with and have a great rapport with, great respect. I mean, it's just a joy to work with them.
Yeah.
So and I wasn't overworked. And I think I noticed it a lot because Garrett was working a lot and was very busy. And last summer I was very busy. So yeah, when the great outdoors is looking at you and you're able to adventure, and it reminded me of growing up in a small town and things like you talked about, reading. What am I going to do today? I'm going to walk the dog. It was helpful. I had started my new Instagram, She is Durango, where I check out new things in Durango, and that started in the spring. So I tried, I bet I did things that I wouldn't have done. Some of them I would have done anyway, but other ones that I actively said, oh, I'm going to check out the Playfest. I did a lot of festivals that maybe I would have went to one or two, but I went to five. Garrett was a great trooper with me. We went to outdoor concerts and everything from classical music, music in the
Great.
mountains. So I would tell you that between not having any kind of stressful work, just having it be laid back and not having a ton of deadlines, and then add to it doing adventures on things that are very summer-ish for where I live, was fun. It was fun.
Good.
But now we
Good.
just got to make it go into fall, so it isn't just, the summer season, right?
Right. I will tell you, I've been following you on She is Durango, and I like, boy, we need something like that in Omaha, just to get a group of people to start doing all the Omaha things and posting all the fun stuff. And I'm sure there's people out there doing it. I'm actually following some people in Omaha, but it's like, boy, this is such a great um chamber of commerce type of event, because I don't know, are you working with the chamber at all with
I
Durango?
am.
Okay.
No, I work with the chamber. I'm a diplomat. I'm an ambassador,
Yeah.
and but this, I'll include some things that I do through the chamber in there. But this is purely my fun Instagram site to tag things to do. And I'll tell you, like your point on Omaha, there's fun things to do wherever you're at. And
Yeah.
I'm a new local, right? And so some of it is checking out things that people think, oh, they're just for tourists. We're going to a chuck wagon that people love to go to when they come to town, called Bardi Chuck Wagon. And it's actually a summer thing. They're on the end of their season. And when people come as tourists, they'll go and listen to the band play and have their chuck wagon. And when I told some people that live here, they kind of rolled their eyes a little bit and said, oh, let me know how that is. And I'm like, I will. A lot of things that I've gone to that are more
Yeah.
touristy, because sometimes you get that, here's what the tourists do, here's what we do.
Right.
Maybe we should do more what the tourists do. There's a reason they do that, right? So I'll
Right.
let you know how
Right.
it goes. And with Omaha, I think informally you see people go to all these fun things. It'd be nice to go see, She is Omaha, and say, oh, that's a great idea for a staycation, or hey, this is a forced family fun day that ends up being a family fun day. And I think the
Right.
great thing about us talking about summer vacation is people typically have in their head, okay, I'm going to wait. We're going to do that when we're on vacation. We're going to do that when we're on break. I'm going to save it for the summer. That's kind of like the fun time, just like Christmas vacation, right? Um, Spring break. So I'm going to save it for that. The reality is, Amy, we can do these things all year long. It doesn't, right? So why do we save the stuff for those times when we think it's logical? So,
Right. Exactly. And I will give people some grace. Sometimes it's our time in life where
right,
we are busy doing all of our kids stuff,
right.
because I remember that time. And also, I'm just gonna say winter comes, and in Omaha, I know I hunker down. Like, I don't want to go outside. I don't want to do anything when it's winter. Like, you're lucky to get me to a movie in the winter time, because it's like, you mean I gotta like intentionally leave the house in this weather?
Right,
So there's a little bit. Summer makes us more open because we want to be outside. Most of us do. I love
right.
being outside. Um, so yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, good job on She is Durango. I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
If I move somewhere, I might start it in my new city.
I tell you what, it's a great, we can all do it wherever we're at, whether you post
Yeah.
it on Instagram, put it in a journal, you know,
Yeah.
I post on Instagram because that is me, right? I'm going to
Yeah,
share it. And because I am involved in the chamber, I can tag different people. And it's fun to tag the businesses. I'll tell you too, Amy, you get this community, that Instagram site. I know these different businesses and I'm kind of interacting with whoever's running their social media, right?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
you can
That's
do it
fun.
via journal, you can put it on your calendar. There's a lot of ways to enjoy where you're at.
Right. Awesome. I agree. I agree. It's about being intentional about
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about our interview. So we did our essay.
Yes.
How was our summer? I guess we did. That was how the summer was. Um, interview wise, let's go through some current or favorites of what you're doing right now. Like, do you have a current or favorite book?
That's a tough one because I'm always reading all the time, right? Um,
Yeah.
you know what I do? I'm going to go with there was one series that was so delightful over the summer, and I would anybody I've recommended it to has said, "Oh my gosh, I absolutely love it." It's called the hold on, I'm gonna say it right. Um, it's over. It has a bit of the feel of Cocoon because it's older
Uh-huh.
people that live in a assisted living and they solve crimes. And it sounds hokey pokey.
Oh,
It
fun.
really is kind of like Ove, Frederick Bachman, how he can really nail his characters, told in a
Uh-huh.
fun, clever little way. And it is called See, I read so many books. I'm going down, down, down. Oh, wait for it. Okay. Richard Osman is the author, and it's called The Thursday Murder Club. He's only had two so far, one and two, and the third one drops on September 22nd. And I will tell you,
Oh,
my 26-year-old niece gave it 5 stars, absolutely loved it. My friend Christy and I go back and forth and we call each other some of the characters. Um, and it's just,
I love it.
it's delightful. So that's the book. I'm going to go with that one. Richard Osman, The Thursday Murder Club.
Nice. Nice. So I took a picture of
Oh,
my
good.
desk before because I will share it with you. Um, I have 5 books on my desk going right now,
Okay.
which is unlike me. I'm just going to say not like me at all. Usually I have one, but then I also have a one on Audible and I have one on my Kindle.
Nice.
So I have like times that I'm listening to different books. I do my Audible on my walk, I do my Kindle when I'm going to bed. And then these books. So what happened? I got new glasses this summer. And
Okay.
so I was having a hard time with paper books. And now with my new glasses, I was like, oh my gosh, I can enjoy a book now because I can actually see the pages.
Enjoy
because
it.
so anyway, I have all these books going, but one that I read this summer was What Happened to You, Conversations on Trauma.
Okay.
And I I it has changed my perspective on so much stuff. Like it really it's what people have gone through in their lives to get them to where they are and how they respond to things because of what they've experienced through their life, whether small, big traumas, whatever it is. It's very interesting.
Is the
So
author a therapist or did the author just gather stories?
it's a therapist. It's Oprah, and she's
Okay.
interviewing a brain development and trauma expert.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah.
Interesting. I'll put that one on my list. That sounds very good.
Well, it's one of the things that resonated with me, I will just say, is this generational trauma. And it is trauma that is handed down from generation to generation. And they were giving some examples, but here's my example is I am deathly afraid of snakes. Like if I like it, it's just a horrible fear. Okay. So I have never had a bad experience with a snake. I will just say never. And I've never had a bad experience, but I have this great fear. Well, my mom has a great fear of snakes, and she is so it's like that, the generational, and I'm not going to blame her for it, but it is it is something that gets handed down because of other people's experiences.
Interesting.
One of the things that they went through was the things that happen in different races in our country and the generational trauma that previous generations experienced. They've handed that stuff down to their children. So it's not like, oh, that happened in the 60s. We're in 2020s. This shouldn't be bothering you now, but that trauma gets carried over generation and generation. So that
Very
was
interesting.
interesting.
I've never thought about it that way, Amy.
I
It's
hadn't
actually when people
either.
say they need to get over themselves, what do they have to complain about? Well, it's not just what you experienced, it's what you've been predetermined with too.
Right, exactly. And they were talking about, one of the examples was dogs. So in on plantations, they used to chase slaves with dogs. Okay. So in the Black community, there some people have this irrational fear of dogs. They've never had a bad experience, but it's been handed down through the generations of dogs are mean. Stay away from them if they're barking. And that's where I got that snake thing. I was like, oh my gosh, that's kind of like me with snakes. But it's anyway. So it's a good book. It was very good, very perspective changing.
Good. I'm going to read that one. I love a great recommendation.
Yeah, I do too. I wrote down the Thursday Murder Club too. Okay, TV show. Any good TV shows, movies? Favorite, current?
The thing I tell you is during the summer, we're not on the TV very much, for good reason. Now, of
Yeah.
course, Maverick, the Top Gun was so good. Have you seen that?
Yes. Yes. I
We've seen it
agree.
twice, and we actually, the second time was because we were visiting one of my sons and he hadn't seen it yet. And both Garrett and I thought, oh, we'll just watch it a second. We actually enjoyed it the second time more because we were able to follow. We just enjoyed it even more the second time.
Completely agree. Unexpected. I saw it twice too. I never see movies twice. I went with my son, and then Tom, he was out of town, and then he came home and he was like, I want to go see this movie. I'm like, okay, I'll go again. It's like it was good.
So fun fact, we just got back from Reno and Tahoe, and as we drove, and as we were driving into Reno, we saw that there was it said it was a Navy clinic. Anyway, Fallon, uh, Nevada is now the Top Gun place. It actually isn't in California. They moved it like in 2006. And there was a lot of shots happened were in Reno and at the Fallon, Nevada area.
Oh,
And
well,
so my aunt that lived in Reno was like, yeah, you didn't know that? Because I can imagine it was in their news when they
yeah.
were taping and yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. It was a good movie.
And for me, for TV shows, I would tell you, we're always late to the game. At night, we will pop on a series. We just finished The Wire, which was quite something. Very, very
That's
well
good.
made us think, look at things from a different perspective. And how we always have old shows that we go all the way through. We're working our way through MASH and Mary Tyler Moore.
Oh, those are throwbacks
Those
for
are
sure.
total throwbacks. We did Cheers when we first came here, and then I wanted Mary
Um,
Tyler Moore and Garrett wanted MASH, and we're both equally enjoying both of them.
Oh, good. We started doing the F1 series, the F1 uh Netflix
Okay.
series.
I don't know about that one. Is it good?
It's really good. It's car racing, and
Okay.
it's a documentary style, and they're interviewing the drivers and they recap the races. And definitely I would say I wouldn't have picked it up to watch, but I am thoroughly enjoying it, to the point where Tom and I are like, we should go to all these races. Like, how do we start traveling to all these F1 races? And
Nice.
yeah, well, there's like 20 something. I can't remember how many races, and they happen every week or every other week.
You
And
don't
I'm
have to go to everyone, Amy, but you can go to some.
like, We were trying to fit it all in 1 year, and I'm like, well, maybe this is like a 10-year goal of trying to hit a few a year. So
Right.
anyway, we'll see. I'm like, we still have to work. So, all right. Favorite song. Do you have a song that's happening right now in your mind?
I always go back to the oldies. I don't know the new ones other
Yeah.
than I really do. And with Spotify, you can do things like, oh, let's do 90s road trip music. It's just so,
Yep.
so we'll go back, but it's not like we're picking the same songs and playlists. We'll pick a playlist and we'll be like, oh, we haven't heard that song in a while. But I will say that my niece and my son turned us on to Harry Styles. And we listened to his new album and some of his songs. We've enjoyed that for new music. So
Oh, good. That's great. I'm similar to you. I do the stations. Like I'll do the ABBA station, which I
right.
love the ABBA station. I'm like, that is like my, and then the Jimmy Buffett station. Because
Mhm.
I'm like, yep, that's my kind of music. And occasionally I'll do country, which is always fun. So anyway, okay. And the old classics. Um, so if you were in school, what's your favorite subject and what's your least favorite subject?
Favorite subject would be, um, some form of a history, stories. I always like the writing ones too, but I'm thinking it depends on what year you are. Any kind of writing or history. And least favorite subject, oh gosh, college economics. I thought it was so flippin' boring. Or hmm, I always kind of like school. Um,
That's good.
how about you?
My favorite was always math. My least favorite, which is interesting to me when I reflect, was reading. And what I decided with that, and I'm still like this, I don't like to discuss books. And I think that was always my issue with reading because I would read it and then I was uncomfortable not getting the same thing out of it that everybody else got out of it. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, I didn't. And then I always felt like, oh man, you are like out of the loop that you don't get that. So I always felt uncomfortable with it. And I even to this day, I'm not a real big book club person because I think there's so many different perspectives. And I've started appreciating that more so and not being as uncomfortable with it. But it's not just super, I love hearing other people's perspectives, but I always feel like mine's probably not worth hearing, you know, because it's like, I got something different out of it. So anyway, it's
Hey,
interesting.
it's interesting. Uh when I look to read other people's reviews, because I always fill out my Goodreads and write a review,
Yeah.
sometimes I do feel tainted that, okay, maybe I thought it was a 3, but I'm going to give it a 4 because everybody else loved this book. There's
Yeah.
just a bit of fakiness. I try to not read anybody else's. I try to be pure in it and say, at the end of the day, it's my review, it's my review. So,
And
bam.
I think I almost feel like there must have been a teacher somewhere, and I kind of remember this in like fifth grade-ish, a teacher that was a very right answer, wrong answer in reading. And I don't think there are right and wrong answers. Everybody's got different perspectives. So I think I feel that like anxiety in that class. I was trying to go back when I stopped liking reading in school, and it was like fifth grade-ish.
So
And
there
so
probably
there,
was a teacher.
yeah, my guess is, but um, okay, so um things so we're looking at our podcast year. We're coming into the new year. What are the things you want to improve and what are you most looking forward to?
What I want to improve, and I'm going to call it continual improvement. I like so many things. I love to have fun. I love to try new things. I want to improve on prioritizing how I want to spend my days. So I make sure I get the most important things in. I think I do a good job of that, but I got to continually focus on it because I
Yeah.
think I played a little bit more than I should have this summer, but that's okay. And so let's just maybe refocus a little bit on that. And what am I most looking forward to? Keep having fun.
I love it.
How about you?
So good for you. I'm gonna go with your continuous improvement. Like it's kind of, I feel like it's a broken record for me. Like the keeping my level of activity up, keeping my and get I love quiet time. And so sometimes um I can hunker down into the quiet time and not get out and do things. So I'll catch myself
Love
like
it.
2 or 3 nights sitting at home and it's like, all right, tomorrow night we got to go do something. And so saying yes to things, getting out more and just but also appreciating that that quiet time fills fills me. Like it makes me feel good. It's not so I just have to like be okay with that. I
Right.
think that's
And it's
that's my goal
continuous
is to be
improvement.
okay. Yeah, continuous improvement is perfect. What one thing I'm looking forward to this year is this settling in, like settling into wherever we're going to be. I'm looking forward to making some decisions. That's kind of what Tom and I are, we're at this point where we have some big decisions that we need to make. And it's been brewing for a good month of let's do this. No, we changed our mind. Let's do this. So it's kind of like, okay, we gotta like make the decision and decide what we're gonna do, or we're just gonna stay here. That's it.
But knowing what that is rather than discussing it. And there's so
Yes.
much I have a workshop called Perfecting Your Pivot. And sometimes I think because again, you and I, we do our thing, we keep sometimes it could appear to be an easy thing that, oh, it just comes easy for her. It just falls in her lap. It falls in Amy's. You're talking about the consternation. There was all kinds of consternation about our decisions on moving to Boise, moving to Durango, and finally acting on it. But it might look like it's easy, but there's a lot of intentionality, even in daily decisions, to say, I'm not going to let my marriage get into a rut. I'm not going to let my social circle, I'm going to meet new people, I'm going to do new things. There's a lot of intentionality, and it is a lot of work and mindfulness in not just continuing to do what you do because that's the easy way out. So
Right.
it's not easy, and it is intentional.
It's intentional and not easy. And I'm going to tell you, and we're going to be talking about strengths finders in a future program that we're working on that
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to, but deliberate is like my lowest strength. And so, and it's probably one of Tom's top strengths. I don't know, but it's a nice balance because I would have just gone and done something
Do
and
something.
he exactly just let's just do it. And he's more thoughtful and challenging and like, yeah. And I'd say probably a little bit more strategic, where I'm a little bit more like, oh, we can change our mind. Like we can do this and we can change our mind. Like it'll all work out. It'll be fine.
But it's a
So
good balance, Amy,
it
right?
is a good balance. Yes. Sometimes it's frustrating for me, but I'm sure he gets frustrated with me too. So, but it's a good balance. We'll end up in a good place. I
See,
will
and I
say that.
love this. We're ending this podcast on a teaser because eventually you make that decision, you will be announcing it, and we will go through the decision making. So this is very good.
Right, right. This is going to be the theme of probably the fall podcast. So we'll see. You'll be asking me every week, okay, where are you at now?
Going.
It's going to change all the time. All right. So, yes, great podcast. I'm looking forward to this season. What are we going to do this season? Do you have thoughts? I know I'm working personally on a conference here in Omaha that's geared towards gratitude.
Mhm.
So a lot of my things that are happening are focused on that. One of my books is about this gratitude. It's really good, The Little Book of Gratitude, and how it affects our brain and our thoughts and stuff like that. So that's kind of my theme, at least through the end of October, planning this event and doing a deep dive into gratitude. How about you?
It's really all about intentional positive change.
Yes.
Making taking the steps, and a big part of it is gratitude. Is it's not just all about me, it's about the people around me, and making the decision making and the action to make positive changes in your life.
Yeah, exactly. And noticing the good stuff
Mhm.
and not sweating the small stuff
And knowing when to walk away. You
and
know,
knowing
those
when to walk away. Right. Exactly.
and
Yes. All
sometimes
right.
when you walk away, you can have a lot of gratitude to say, wow, I'm very grateful that I made that decision.
Right. Exactly. True. Very true. All right. Well, thank you, Sandy.
All right.
Lovely
Till
chatting with
next
you,
week.
and we'll see you next week.
Very excited. All right. Bye
All
bye.
right. Bye.